I'm going to show you how to make a twisted headband. It's super fast and easy and also great for just those little scraps left over in your projects. So it's really just, you can put one together in just minutes. This one's a cotton lycra. This one's from the Happy Days Dinosaur. It's digital glitter, not real glitter, with a black stripe background. But what I'm going to do is I had a piece left over from my Purple Space Pandas, and all I did was, like, I had a little bit left, some odd pieces left over, so I just, no, it was actually like this. I just went ahead and evened it out, cut off all any bumpy edges I had, and looked for the biggest piece that I had left that could make a rectangle. So I know, because I'm viewing my camera backwards, you're going to see the numbers backwards, but I'm going to let you know what I have here. So I actually ended up with a piece that is a little over 6 inches tall, and it's 23 inches wide, which is perfect because I actually only need it to be 22 inches. I measured my daughter's head. It is 22 inches. I chose to go ahead and do it at the actual circumference of her head because I don't want it to be a tight headband. I just want it to be something that sits there, maybe holds back a few flyaways. Plus we'll be taking off approximately 1/2 inch in just the seam alone. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and leave the little excess on just in case. I can always come back and cut it off, but I can't bring it back. So what I'm going to do is fold it in half, and I'm going to stitch this all the way down on this side. You can do this on your sewing machine or serger. Serger is going to be a lot faster. On your sewing machine, just make sure you use a stretch stitch. And if you don't have a walking foot already on your machine, I suggest you use a walking foot on it. This is a little walking foot to keep your fabric from stretching like this while it's going through, and also it keeps it from slipping so you don't end up with it doing this. That's really important when you're dealing with knit fabrics, and because this is a stretchy headband, you want it to still have that ability to stretch. So I'm going to take this to my serger real quick, and then I'll come right back with it. I finished serging it together. I used the 4 threads so it's still stretchy. If you use only a 3 thread, it's not stretchy. So I didn't even bother tying these off on the ends because I'm going to end up sewing over them, and that's going to lock them in place. So all you have to do is, and the great thing about this being wide is it's super easy to turn, but if you don't have 6 inches tall, you can do it smaller. It's just, this was just a little over 6 inches, and you can see that I'm ending up with a 3 inch, and that's because that part that was over ended up being inside the seam allowance. So what I'm going to do is I want to get that seam in the center. Doesn't have to be perfect, but don't want it too far off. So I'm just going to lay it down like that, flip back over, fold it in half. So what I have is the seam on the outside now, and the part that you're going to see is on the inside. So first thing I'm going to do is, now I have those lined up, I'm going to fold it in half. For me, I'm going to have to make sure I do this at 22 inches because I never cut it. So I'm actually taking an entire inch off of this. So I'm going to sew it right here, right in between these two. And I'm not going to use my serger on this because it just adds a lot of extra bulk into this part that we're going to sew straight across here. And after we sew straight across, we're actually going to fold it one more time. And because that is so thick, I don't put all that through my sewing machine. I just put just the edge of this right here. So I just put like a little tack stitch right here to hold it in place, and you'll see how it opens up. So let me sew it down just the one side first. Again, I just folded it in half, and this is the seam on the outside. So now I've sewn down it. This doesn't necessarily have to be a stretch stitch because this is actually holding all of the pulling of your band. I actually went over it twice. So now that I've sewn that, I'm going to fold it one more time and tack just this piece down. I'm using my clip here. You can use a pen or even like a tiny rubber band. It just kind of makes it a little bit easier so I can hold it in the machine and concentrate on that, especially since it's such a small, thick piece. So now I've tacked just that spot right there, and I'm going to trim off all my pieces with thread, and these are going to come off too. Right now you see a big piece left over. That's just so I can double check to make sure it fits, because if I did need to, I could rip out the threads and make it a little bit larger, but I know this is going to be fine, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it off. And so here's the cool part. You just pull it nice and taut, and all of that seam is on the inside, and it kind of tucks itself in. And now I put the seam, flip the seam over, and I have a twisted headband, and it takes like, I think that was a total of 3 minutes putting that together. Again, I'll show you what it looked like before. It was all folded over. So I originally folded it in half with both of the seams on the outside, and then I folded that in half this way and sewed it. Then I folded it one more time and tacked it down right here. So you see the edge looks pretty thick there, but it's nothing noticeable because as soon as you pull it, it all goes inside, and then flip it around. And a quick twisted headband. And this is going to match her clothes that I made for her from the Space Panda collection, because she's my panda lover. Thank you.